Welcome to Morning Devotion with Ken Gurley. Devotions designed to inspire you on your daily walk with God. Here's your host, Ken Gurley.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to Morning Devotion. Whoa, what a weekend. What a time together. Just feeling the presence of the Lord early this morning. I am on the road, and so you know what that means. I can't see you. Should I just call your names out by faith? That's probably what I should do. Just call them out by faith. Because I know you're there. This great, incredible morning devotion family. I can't tell you how I treasure these moments. Just a time to get together with you and feel like we're a part of something. A part of a family, a part of a movement, part of a great, growing apostolic family around the world. Just thankful for what God is doing in our midst. And I pray His great blessings upon you today. What a subject, so much straw. When it feels you've fallen short. By the way, that phrase, so much straw. You don't know how many years I've wanted to talk about this. Just felt impressed that today's the day. So I want to share it with you. And a great story behind that expression. Great prayer time last Friday. Thank you for participating. Thank you for just diving into it and touching a lot of needs. If you have a miracle report, please share it out to the side. I can't see it, but you guys just give them some kudos. Come out from the shadows. All right, you know the drill. Like, share, follow, and let's get the word out, and let's see some great things happening in this incredible, unusual day in which we're living. Some have asked about the prayer meeting. Yeah, we may do that again soon. And thank you for your response to that. And I just felt like God was pleased. And I felt a lot of prayers bombarded, having a lot of interaction, a lot of connection, a lot of encouragement. So share the answers to prayer, like, share, follow the page, and let's get the word out. So much straw. That is just an incredible subject. When you feel like you've fallen short, when you feel like you haven't made a 100, got your gold star, batted 1,000, that's the subject today. I want to go back to a story that has long fascinated me, if you'd allow me. A comment made by a Catholic friar some 850 years ago. I want to tell you about Thomas Aquinas. Lived an interesting life, and against his family's wishes in France, he entered the Dominican order to seek to become a defender of the Catholic faith. He would study at the University of Paris. He would take his orders. There he studied, he wrote. Twice during his sojourn, unhappy family members had him kidnapped. Yeah, that's rough. They once held him prisoner for 2 years. Man. His life, though, when he returned to school was no better. He was mercilessly mocked by his fellow students. Thomas Aquinas was overweight. He didn't have a pleasing appearance, apparently. Students called him a dumb ox. He struggled with rejection, and so he retreated to his studies, and there his genius was revealed. He tried to integrate philosophy with religion, applied scientific rationalism to beliefs. In a day when that went against the grain, it was very controversial, and that just created the rejection, another wave of rejection. He's credited, though, in his day and era, guiding people toward personal renewal, a desire to evangelize. And his writing achieved notable, if not controversial, success. He came to the attention of a pope or two, but the hostility, it dogged his every step. And so he read, he studied, he wrote, he lectured. That's how Thomas Aquinas survived. His works are still studied and revered today amongst so-called Orthodox theologians, but I want to draw your attention to a story of something that happened within months of Thomas Aquinas' passing. It was near the end of his short life. He died at the age of 49, we think. Thomas Aquinas was working on his magnum opus, the Summa Theologiae, the summary of theology, and he turned away from that massive work that people considered his finest. Why? Because in early December, the year of 1273, he just stopped writing. Now, you have to understand what a surprise that was. That's like the sun not rising. For this 49-year-old man at his prime, at the height of his influence and notability, he just stopped writing. To his peers, to his acquaintances, Thomas Aquinas not writing was the equivalent of not breathing. Thomas refused to take up his pen. He refused to finish what was to be his finest, greatest work, the labor that had taken him so many years. A friend, Brother Reginald, approached Aquinas. And what happened in the next few moments is why I share this story with you today. I hope you enjoy it. Reginald saw Aquinas' fatigue, saw his worn face, his tired eyes. He had been at work. He had always worked, though, like an ox. He rose very early in the morning for his devotions, then went to his lectures, started dictating to his secretaries, prayed until past midnight, and any time in between, he would write. He repeated this again and again and again, and always he wrote, always he wrote. And now Reginald asked, Master, will you not return to your writing? I cannot, Aquinas sighs, without explanation. In fact, it seemed impossible to explain. Now, the possibilities for not writing could have been infinite had the years of hostility and rejection finally marginalized him. Did the profound weariness of life itself crush him? Did the fighting of those ideas that were thought false finally just wear him out? No, it was something else, or at least something added to all of that. When Reginald pressed, Master, why will you not return to your work? Here's what Aquinas said. The end of my labors has come. I can write no more. All that I have written seems like so much straw after the things that have been revealed to me. So much straw. Most people believe that Thomas had a vision of heaven, and compared to whatever he saw, it seemed worthless. All of his writings, all of his efforts seemed wood, hay, and stubble. Some believe that a revelation had come, and Aquinas had seen a new light, an error of his ways, the wrongness of his teaching. Within weeks of that utterance, everything seems like straw. Aquinas would pass from this life. And oddly, the sigh he made that day continues to be part of his lasting legacy. Everything I've done seems like so much straw. I want to welcome you here today. I mentioned earlier that I'm on the road today, so I'll only get to see you later, but so much straw. So much straw. What is it like to get to the end of your life and you feel like you've fallen short? Oh, what a subject today. Years back when I worked as a CPA, there was an annual inventory that everybody had to participate in. It was worldwide, all of our plants, all of our offices, profit centers. Everything that didn't move had to be inventory. That's the way it was. Later, I would be over that inventory, but it was around my second or third inventory, I was given the job of inventorying the company's safe. Yeah, until that time, I'd been in warehouses, shop floors, profit centers, traveling to one side or another, supervising various efforts. So it was an unusual thing to be at the company headquarters and be told to inventory the vault. Now, most of the things were pro forma. They hadn't been moved since the previous year, and so previous inventory tags were on them. But a bunch of stuff was placed in the safe, and nobody had the time to catalog it, cared to catalog it, knowing that it would be done at the annual inventory. And so I dusted it off and started working on it. Most of the new stuff was just old sentimental stuff, probably from one of the early founders' family that had presented this trove of memorabilia to the company. And they just parked it in the safe awaiting the annual inventory. I went through it, cataloged it, and most of course, was just memorabilia that would be given to people. But I came across the founder's original stock certificates. Really good for nothing but a museum or to hang on someone's wall, because by then the company had been bought and sold so many times, merged with this conglomerate, that conglomerate. The stock certificates were just so much straw. As impressive as they were with the company seal and the calligraphy, it was just so much straw. I'm in a reflective mood today, and I just wonder, what are we holding to? What are we treasuring that is worthless as those old stock certificates? Just so much straw. Oh, do you like, is this all right? Is this all right? Am I doing okay? I can't see you. I don't know. I don't have any reaction. I feel like I'm in the first church of the Frigidaire. I'm not getting any movement here. Yeah, you need to be inventoried. You're not moving. I was in Indianapolis, I don't know, a number of years back, and the treasurer of the czars from St. Petersburg was traveling the United States and was on exhibit in a local museum there in Indianapolis. Brother Paul Mooney asked me, said, hey, would you want to go tour that with me? I said, sure, let's go. And so when we were finished, we were just contemplating what we'd seen. He said, what did you learn from this? And I said, well, what shocks me is that the artistry of a previous generation is lost to this modern world. And he agreed. We talked about that a bit. Then I asked him, what impressed you? He said, after seeing all the gold and the silver and the precious stones, it made me realize, if you want something to last, make it of precious things. Yeah, I thought about that today. It's got to be the right stuff. It can't be worthless stuff. It reminded me of what Paul told the Corinthians. And Paul, of course, traveled throughout the Roman Empire, and giant edifices had been erected. Many of them survive to this day. I mean, I've stood in the amphitheater in Ephesus where Paul caused a riot. Still there, still standing, still made of stone, not straw, not wood, hay, stubble. Those towering monuments in the city of Rome, the aqueducts. Still, some of the Roman roads can be seen stretching across the countryside. And Paul told the Corinthians, in the heart of the Roman Empire, we have a sure foundation. We have the solid rock, Jesus Christ. But every one of us, we need to take care how we build on that foundation. If any man build on this foundation with gold, silver, precious stones, it'll survive. Or if we choose to build with wood, hay, and stubble, it will not survive. What that tells me is that we're building every day. We build things that pass, or we build things that last. Do we build with eternity in mind? Are we using time-tested materials, or are we cutting corners, building hastily and cheaply? You probably heard the story of that wealthy employer who asked his employee, a faithful carpenter, had been with him many years, to build a house for him and to spare no expense. Now, this was new. Normally, the employer was pretty stingy with his money, and the employee thought about the many years he had worked for the guy, the many, many times he had given his best and sacrificed, and now the years had passed, and to the carpenter, it seemed like, this is the only opportunity I'm going to have to get ahead. So what I'm going to do is buy the cheapest materials, and I'm going to invoice the employer for the more expensive ones. I'm going to cut corners where I can, out of sight, out of mind, and in the process, stick by stick, stone by stone, I'm going to get my cut. I'm going to tuck away the cash. I'm going to prepare for a rainy day. He built the house as cheaply and flimsily as he could, and he overcharged his employer in the process. How was he surprised the day when he handed the keys to the front door to his employer, and his employer said, I can't accept those keys. You've been a good employee. You've served me faithfully down through the years. I ask you to spare no expense on this house, because this house is my gift to you. And he handed the keys back to the dumbstruck employee. The man would live in a house as cheaply built as possible. I think about that. I think about how we try to cut corners. We've got the choice to build God's way, to put him first. Oh, can I get a witness to that? To say, God, I want to build of gold, silver, and precious stones. I want to build a life that matters, a life that lasts. When Paul said gold, silver, and precious stones, we know the gold and the silver, the currencies of the day, but the precious stones he referred to were not diamonds, rubies, emeralds, or gemstones. He was referring to costly building materials, marble, granite. Substantial effort was made to mine, quarry, and refine that durable, lasting, resilient stone. Build of something that's going to last, something that's going to stick and survive. We learned this story of Three Little Pigs, didn't we? How, that house of straw is going to be blown away by the big bad wolf, but the house of stone is going to survive. We live in the last of the last days. We live in a day where every man's work is going to be tested. When the winds of false doctrine are howling like gale force, are we building of stuff that survives? Are we building things that make a difference for all eternity? In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus described a meaningful life, a life known for its prayer, its fasting, its giving, a life marked with influence, salt, and light to the world, a life marked with character qualities, meekness, humility, kindness, a hunger and thirst for righteousness' sake. These are the precious stones. This is the granite and the marble, the lasting work of a meaningful life. I think there's nothing as sad to me as what happened to Thomas Aquinas. When a person gets near to the end of their lives, they ask, is that all there is? Has my life been meaningful? Did I make a difference? Have I fallen short? Did I live up to my dreams and my aspirations and goals? Well, here's hope for you today. What hope? We're not an animal. We're made in the image of God. Animals act on instincts largely. Birds migrate. Animals hibernate by some unspoken, unnamed ability. A salmon returns to where it was given birth to start the next generation of salmon. Instincts. Plants operate on instincts and are on a complex chemical reaction like phototropism, the inclination of plants toward the sun. Photosynthesis, the process of transforming carbon dioxide into oxygen. Chemical reaction. But you and I don't act on simply instincts or chemical reactions. We're made in the image of God. It's more than instinctual or chemical. It's volitional, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. In one way, we express the image of God is through choices, good choices. To choose to follow the path of life everlasting. To choose to seek God's will over man's will. Choosing peace over strife. A meaningful life over a vain one. Vanity, vanity, empty, empty, meaningless, meaningless. That was the beginning of Solomon's preaching in Ecclesiastes. It means preacher. He examined life under the sun through a jaundiced eye, and he said it's vanity, it's empty, it's straw, so much straw. He looks at life. He plumbs the depth of what people think life is all about. But at the close of the book, he said, let's hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God. Keep his commandments. For this is man's all. For God will bring into every work into judgment, including every secret thing, whether good or evil. The wood, the hay, the stubble will be burned away like a fire. And only that which is precious will remain. So here's the hope. Today is a choice. Love God with all your heart. Be faithful to him. Seek to do good. Be a partaker of the divine nature. Be born again. Be a good influence on others, and watch. Watch the difference it can make. For when you feel like you've fallen short, can I tell you a secret? It's as old as that grim story, Rumpelstiltskin. In fairy tales, you can spin straw into gold. In the real world, you can't. But through the Lord Jesus Christ, and choosing him, and choosing life, and not choosing death, you can metaphorically, figuratively, turn straw into gold. through the choices you make each and every day. Choose you this day whom you will serve. Remove the straw. Choose the goal. Don't get to the end of your life and say, I'm done. So much straw. So much straw. I want to see gold, silver, precious stones. I want to see crowns adorning your head. I want to hear him say, well done, thou good and faithful servant. God bless you. Thank you for being a part of morning devotion. Share this with others. Look forward to seeing you again tomorrow. God bless you in Jesus' name.
Thank you for listening to Morning Devotion with Ken Gurley. Join us next time for another inspiring devotion. To support this ministry, please visit firstchurch.com/give.